I'm Dr. Samantha, a naturopathic doctor that specializes in fertility health and hormone care, and today we're going to talk about foods that help with fertility. So hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. Today we're going to talk about specific foods or specific diet habits that are going to help increase your fertility. So first we're going to have a conversation about the quality of foods, and then we're going to jump into specific foods that are helpful with fertility. So why do I want to start with quality? Honestly, it's because I think this matters the most. In today's world, we have so many chemicals in our foods that it's really important to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. Now, I don't want you to get overly stressed or overwhelmed by this. I know there's a lot out there now. People are checking seed oils at restaurants and things like that. And I'm not telling you to go that extreme, but buying quality ingredients is going to make a difference, specifically when you're cooking at home majority of the time. Focusing on whole foods is going to be the number one thing, right? Starting out by just having whole foods that aren't packaged in your home is going to be really beneficial for your health and then everyone else's health in the home as well. Next is going to be the never-ending debate between organic or non-organic. Here's the deal. You can buy your produce organic if you have the funds. If not, stick to the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. There'll be a link down below for a free download of this year's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. Essentially, that means the 12 foods that have the highest pesticide exposure and the 15 that are the cleanest from pesticides. So anyway, back to the debate. Is organic going to be better? It's going to make a difference in some things more than the others, right? So for example, buying strawberries are very porous. They're going to be absorbing more of those pesticides versus like an avocado, which has a protective shell. That's just an example. The Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, definitely dive into that further. If I were to pick anything to be organic though, I would have to say meats and dairy are at the top of my list. I would actually go as far as saying all meats and dairies purchased should actually be organic. That's my personal opinion. You can take it one step further. For beef example, instead of having just organic, you can have it grass finished, which means they were allowed to roam and eat grass instead of, the corn that they are given. When it comes to dairy, people talk a lot about like fat-free, for example. It's actually been proven that the more fat in your dairy, the better. Basically, if you see dairy's been fat-free, that means it's been processed even further, and we don't want that, right? We want the least amount of processing that can occur. Most of the time, if you're not buying whole foods, reading the backs of products and just looking at their actual ingredients is going to make a really big difference. Apps like Think Dirty or the EWG can be really helpful. I think a lot of people worried about them like getting paid off and stuff. Yes, they probably make money through companies trying to get their approved stamp, but I have full faith that things that they put their stamp on are still going to be a lot better than majority of the products out there. So that's just something to think about. Quality of food, like I said, does make a really big difference and it does matter. However, I don't want you to be too stressed. If you're going out to a restaurant, please just enjoy your meal. 80-20 rule is just going to be really important here, meaning 80% of the time you buy the whole foods, you check the ingredients, and then 20% of the time you just kind of live your life and just have fun. Now moving into specific foods. First, I'll start with kind of the taboo foods, which are gluten and dairy. So for example, a lot of people say if you stop eating gluten and dairy, your inflammation is going to decrease drastically and that's going to change your fertility. I don't know if that's the case. So in my opinion, if gluten and dairy bother you, meaning they cause symptoms like bloating, gas, rashes, hair loss, etc., then obviously we're going to stop eating them. But if you eat dairy and gluten and you feel completely fine, maybe just go with a good ingredient list. Maybe you don't have to cut those out. I know sourdough is definitely really big and trending right now, so a good sourdough loaf is awesome when we're talking about bread. And then for dairy, as I was talking about earlier, as long as you get organic and whole fat dairy, I think you're good. Ultimately, if you are unsure if gluten or dairy bothers you, I highly recommend a 2-week elimination diet where you just remove them from your diet and then add one in at a time to see if you have any symptoms. That's something that I do recommend doing with a practitioner, but you can totally do it yourself and just see if things arise after you've cut them out for those 2 weeks. Now for the part that I think everyone looks forward to is what specific foods are actually going to help with my fertility. This can actually be a very long list, so I'm not going to name every single one, but I will name some categories, right? So fruit. Fruit's going to be great, specifically berries because they're low on the glycemic index and they have strong antioxidants. I love nuts and seeds. They provide really healthy fats and a protein source. People also talk a lot about avocado. Avocado is a very healthy fat full of omega-3s, which has been shown to reduce inflammation. So whole grains are also going to be important for fertility and hormonal balance. So things like brown rice, quinoa, and oats are all going to be really yummy and essential foods for fertility. We already talked about antioxidants before, but foods rich in antioxidants, yes, include berries and other fruits. They also include like leafy greens and walnuts, kale, and so on. Again, this list isn't complete, but I will actually be linking a fertility foods guide down below that will help you really get an idea of the foods that you do want to be filling your plate with. Ultimately, the list can go on and on of the specific foods that are great, but in reality, what I want you to do is keep it simple. Eat whole foods, read ingredients, make sure you're buying organic meat and dairy. Only eliminate foods if they bother you, but if they bother you, please do eliminate them. They can 100% be causing underlying inflammation and other issues. And focus on having a well-rounded plate. What that means is make sure you have a fat, a carbohydrate, and a protein on each plate. An example plate would be having, organic chicken breast, a salad with walnuts, strawberries, kale, spinach, some quinoa, and then maybe also having some brown rice on the side. That was a really quick example. I also really love bowls, Mediterranean bowl, Mexican food style bowl. So for example, it can be some rice, some beans or lentils, some quinoa instead of rice if you don't want all of that, and then a protein on top of that, and then adding all the veggies that you can possibly think of. That would be a really great, well-rounded meal. It's really easy to make and doesn't take that much time. Overall, talking about diet and fertility can go on and on. I'll definitely be making another video talking about more of the specifics. Please don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments so I know what to focus on for further videos. This is a general overview, which is going to be best for most people. However, everyone has their own specific case and diet that's going to work best for them. Anyway, if you like this video and you learned something new today, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications for future videos. We do release one every Friday, and have a beautiful rest of your day.